Well, Johan, how's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm fine actually. And you?
I'm doing all right. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. We have a lot to talk about. I'm really pumped for this EP. So, why are we
Cool.
going with an EP this time instead of a full length?
I think because of this 40 years anniversary, we had to do something, and Leif had a couple of songs that he really wanted to do. So that's the simple reason. You can't go out there 40 years anniversary and do nothing. You have to do something, of course. And
Yeah.
there are actually a couple of other things in the role, or what you say. So there's actually some people working on a documentary, and that's pretty cool. I don't know how far they've gone so far, but they are doing interviews and stuff for the moment. So maybe they will put something together within this year or something. I don't know exactly.
Well, that's really exciting to see, and I
Yeah,
assume that covers the
it's a
history.
story from the very beginning. So when the Candlemass started up in the very beginning, and all the way to this time. So it's a cool thing.
There's a
I
lot to
don't
cover
know.
in 40 years.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. A lot of singers.
Yeah. Well, it's a doom metal band. You got to have a
Yeah,
lot of singers.
yeah.
Sabbath did, for example. Now, I love the lyrics on this. What was your relationship with Leif like regarding lyrics for the CP?
Yeah, we used to talk about it, so you can get into the stuff. Lyrics uh, just don't always tell you what it's all about immediately, so you have to find out yourself. But yeah, we used to spend a couple of hours in the studio before the recording and talk about it, and then play around and have some fun during the recording. So that's the way how it works.
A little bit of like a jam session.
No, yeah, you could say in a way, we know we have to have a work to do, but it's important that we try out different kind of things, and uh, I'm full of melodies in my head, and he's got what do you say? Of course in charge. He's the main writer, and but we he tells me something like this, and then he sings it for me, and then we try to find the best thing around that. So uh, yeah, we have a lot of fun when we do the recording. I can tell. So he's getting excited, and I'm getting excited. So
Fun.
yeah, we have a lot of fun, and that's the main thing. If you don't have fun and you don't feel secure and safe to do what comes up. You have to feel free to have a lot of fun because music is in it's important to all of us, of course, very important. But it's very important that you feel comfortable and you enjoy what you're doing. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure that you can hear it if you're a listener. So
Definitely can.
and and I have a lot of fun, I can tell.
That's great to hear, man. I was surprised to see you guys will be covering Sabbath and Pentagram on this
Yeah,
EP. What was it? Did you help choose the covers, and what was it like
uh,
adapting your vocal style onto those songs?
actually, not at all. Leif is an old Black Sabbath fan, and he was the one who picked the songs. And they are also, he's also a big fan of the old Pentagram stuff. So that's the reason why those two songs came up. And I really, really love Black Sabbath, so that was not a problem. It was hard to sing that one, I can tell, but it was a lot of fun. But Pentagram, I'm not that familiar with the Pentagram as the other guys are. But what can you do? I did my very best to make it work.
Was that your first exposure to pentagram?
Yeah, yeah, that deep, yeah, for sure. You know, you've heard all the bands somewhere at some places, but you don't know them that close, all of them. And I wasn't that familiar with Pentagram, I can tell. But I saw a lot of videos when we were during the recording, so that was cool. And there's a cool band, I can tell.
Yeah, very, very great band and is
Yeah,
in that big Doom circle along with you guys. So to see, for the 40-year like anniversary to celebrate the other Doom legends
yeah,
with you
yeah.
guys is really
We,
awesome to see for sure.
yeah, yeah, for sure. You know, those were the bands that made us all start up in the very beginning. So of course, it's an honor to do some of the old stuff for sure.
Yeah, so you've been in the band since 2018 now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
but we're on the seventh year, I think.
yes, for 7 years now, how has your relationship with Candlemass evolved since rejoining?
Yeah, what can I tell? You know, I started, it all came up pretty fast. You know, I had a call one day from Mappe, and then I went into the studio the very next day, actually. And
Right
of
away.
course, yeah, actually, the very next day. And yeah, I said, yeah, I'm all very interested, but it's very important for me as a singer, and maybe it's the same for everyone, that I really do I have to get the right feeling when it comes to the songs. So I say, let me just listen to the songs, and I'll give you, yeah. And if I like it, I'm all yours, man. and and I went to the studio the very next day, and I don't know exactly which of the songs I was listening to at the first place, but it doesn't matter. The Door to Doom album, I think all the songs on that album are pretty cool in my opinion. So we started the recording right away. I listened to, I don't know, it could have been a Storyless or something, and I said, can we do some recordings right away? And so we did, and then I'm in.
There was no hesitation at all.
No, no, actually not. You know, during the past years, you know, I have four kids, but they're grown ups now, and I have nine grandchildren now. So 7 years ago, all our kids were out. So we from that point I could do whatever I wanted to. So no responsibilities left. So
Yeah. Well, that's really cool to see. And you must be the most legendary grandfather. Doom
oh, I
metal
don't know,
legend.
but
And it's great when you rejoined, especially getting that Grammy nomination. What was your reaction to that Grammy nom? And that must have been like, all right, I'm with Candlemass now. This is
yeah, you know, I can tell that you know, I've never been so comfortable with a band. You know, it's my only thoughts and responsibilities when I came into the band was just to, if I just do my job, okay, everything is cool, because there is such a, they're good. They know all the songs in their spinals, and they're so. It's a cool band to just enter, and you don't have to focus about how is he playing or he or so. You can leave all that kind of things and just focus on yourself and what you're doing, and that's makes you feel. Yeah, you get confident if you find your way into that. So
yeah.
yeah,
Definitely, definitely. And, we're talking about the 40 years here, and I'd love to talk about some of the early days. Now,
yeah.
what was it like going from singing, the music of Jonah Quiz to Candlemass? That's two very different,
Yeah, for
very
sure.
different bands.
Yeah, it's actually, I don't know everything about this. I haven't been told that myself, but Leif and Mappe, the other guys, they have told me that the very first time other people were listening to the music, they said they were almost laughing. You can't get anywhere with this kind of music. So I think Leif was a bit ahead of time for other people at that point. Uh, I'm pretty sure about that, because all of a sudden, a couple of years, I don't know, a decade after that they were all very popular all of a sudden. And in the beginning, people were laughing and
I agree
polite,
100%. Yeah.
polite, but they didn't understand what it was all about.
Very ahead of its time. And
Yeah,
it's going through all generations. When I saw you guys in Boston, it wasn't just one generation of people who grew up with the
no,
music. I'm in
yeah,
my 20s and
yeah,
Candlemass is one of my favorite bands. So it's really awesome to see that over the years, people have discovered this way
yeah.
after they were born way after, Epicus.
Yeah, that's pretty
And
cool. I can
yeah,
I can see the difference myself when I started up 7 years ago. Now these days, the audience, they're young people from 15 years and up in the 20s, so that and singing along with all the songs, and that's pretty cool. I can tell. There are whole families with maybe grandpa, dad, and a daughter or a son at the show, so it's very cool.
you were talking about people were laughing when they first heard
Yeah, yeah.
the debut.
I was told so. From Mappe and Leif told me about it.
What about you? What was your reaction to hearing
You
the
know,
music?
back in the 80s, it was a huge thing to do a real record. In these days you can make your own stuff on a computer, and it's not the same environment.
Very easy.
Yeah. So, for example, I was waiting for to have a contract for my band, Johan Längqvist. And people are coming up to you. I can be your manager, and then I've got something going on, and then always in the end, money came up. You just have to pay me this and this and I'll make a record with you guys. And so we were actually pretty cool, waiting for something real, a record company, and that was so huge back in the 80s, 70s. And I didn't succeed with my old band. We were this close, but unfortunately, problems turned up. But Candlemass had the opportunity, and they asked me if I was interested in doing a record with them. And I told them, I have my own band, but I'm honored for the question. And as I told you, it was a very big thing back in those days. So, but I told them I would love to do the record, but I have to be honest with you guys. I have my own band, and that's where my heart is for the moment. So we talked about it, and they told me that, well, we want you to do it anyway. And now I'm happy that we did it.
Definitely. And it became such an iconic album, one of, the top 10 when people talk about doom metal. Did you
Yeah.
think it would be that iconic while making it?
Not at all. Not at all. No one was thinking that back in that time. So, uh, but I don't know what you do if you're a musician yourself. It's a it's a
Little
lot
bit.
of fun. When you're in the 20s, you're full of energy, and I think that could be one of the reasons that people can hear these are guys and they wanted to do something, and uh, it's a lot of fun, to sing in heavy genres instead of just singing ordinary songs. You have to push yourself up on the high notes and down to the bottom, and that's, in my opinion, a lot of fun.
And I agree, and I think it makes you a way better singer, especially looking at Jonah Quiz, and it's like, wait, who's singing that? And then
Yeah,
Candlemass, I
yeah,
think it's definitely, surrounding yourself with different genres and
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
is very
And
good.
yeah, and
Yeah.
of course, you grow when you do a lot of different stuff for sure. So, and
Yeah.
I like a lot of types when it comes to music. There are some types that I'm not that interested in. So, but good music is always good music, in my opinion. But my heart is more to the more heavy stuff.
What do you normally like listen to on a day-to-day basis?
I'm actually, what do you say,
You can say
pretty,
it.
yeah, yeah. But I actually found a band that I think they can be really big in the end. When I'm a singer, and I of course need a singer that is interesting to catch my attention. And I think, for example, there's a guy called Jelusic. Have you heard about him?
I don't think I have, no.
I think they are from Croatia or something like that. And they're very good musicians, and he sings like, wow, he's very good and talented.
What kind of genre is it?
Yeah, it's kind of modern metal. I don't know all these genres these days, so I can't give you. But he the band is called Jello Sick.
I'll check it out,
I'm
man.
Yeah, check them out. They're cool, and you know, not all the songs catch me, but some songs are, in my opinion, awesome. And he's for sure a very good singer.
Yeah, that's cool to hear, man, because I never know when I ask because sometimes people are ashamed to admit they're into like very soft classic rock or like
Okay.
country. So that's cool, man.
I
Like
usually I used to listen to. There are so many bands out there, but no, I can't give you some soft music for the moment. But of course, I like soft music as well.
me too. I'm into mostly everything. Now,
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Epicus is such a legendary record. How do you reflect? I know it was a blip in your life. How do you reflect on the recording process of that album?
We did that album very quickly, I can tell. I think I was there for 2 nights or something like that. You
Took you
know, it,
two nights.
yeah, it's not like it is today. You can work on a song for months or half a year or something. No, no, no. It was just songs are in, just sing and do your best. And it was expensive to spend time in a studio those days as well. So that was maybe one of the reasons, of course.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about how iconic that record is celebrating, the 40 years of Doom. Now, at what point in your life did you realize it became an iconic record?
I think I realized it. I don't know, a decade later when I was reading a newspaper or something, and it was one of the big bands in the world, and I saw that, wow, our inspiration, for example, is Candlemass and the Ep.140 album, and I'm, wow, what? So I didn't know it actually till maybe a decade later that it was that popular.
And I assume the Door to Doom was a way different recording process. Not a little longer than two nights, I assume.
Yeah, it was, but not that many more nights, I can tell, because we were in a hurry. The album was already done, so and we had to go out for 2 or 3 weeks after I got into the band. So I had 3 weeks to do the recording and learn the songs that we were going to do on the tour. So it was a pretty what do you say,
Stressful?
stressful time. Yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
sometimes you need a whip in your ass to get moving. But and we did it. So
It can help and hurt, you know. It,
yeah,
it goes
yeah,
both ways.
yeah. I'm not the sensitive kind of guy either. So
So I assume with Sweet Evil Son, you were like, all right, I need some more time here. We're gonna, and I assume it was the longest recording process.
yeah, not when it comes to me, but because when I step into the recording, I do a couple of demos with Leif in the very beginning, and then when all the songs are put together the way they should be, I pretty much just go back and do whatever I could do better than the demo. So that's
Yeah.
the working process for me.
Okay. So I assume it was it probably out of all the Pentagram releases, besides this EP, the smoothest out of all the recording processes.
I guess so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
you
cool.
know,
And you can never tell. That's why I find it so fascinating because your vocals are so great on all of them. Now, we don't have a ton of time here, but I'm just curious, what was that first show like performing with Candlemass? Do you remember the first show you ever did?
yeah, it was in Norway, and I remember it very well. Actually, as I told, it was a pretty stressful time those 3 weeks to make a record and then straight on to the tour. So I was very nervous before the show started up. So, but just a couple of minutes into the set, I felt that yeah, it works, and to keep all the lyrics in this old head. I was concerned about that, but I managed to do it, and yeah, I felt good. Pretty much a couple of minutes into the set. So
And
from from
yeah,
that on, it was just I'm into all the shows we can get.
and it's crazy that it was like after 30 years, it was your first time ever singing, Solitude and all of
Yeah,
these classics.
yeah. But some people think that I've been doing nothing during the years in between, but I've been into music all my life, more or less. I've always had a small kind of home studio wherever we've been living with my family. So I've been into music. So
Yeah. And I cannot wait to hear this EP. It comes out on May 9th.
yeah,
I will be buying it. Cannot wait.
cool.
Thank you so much, Johan, for
Yeah,
talking to me. Really appreciate it.
thank you. Brandon was your name, right?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Brandon, for calling me up.
Thank you so much. I've
And good
been
luck with your own music, man.
Thank you. I do comedy, but
Yeah, but
if I do
I
music.
love comedy.
Thank you. Thank you. It's doom comedy. I've been Brandon Battick, and this has been Disturbing the Priest.
It's death! I've just seen death!